Chapter 4 homework is looking at the data that you collected from the Islanders using some mathematics and writing up from the first 4 chapters what we did with that information. So you will be looking at Chapter 3's big idea, the difference between the pre and the post test. You just need to title this introduction. You don't need to include the 5 points and the chapters it's from. That's for your reference. You can just do introduction, part A, question of interest, and explain the protocol and what you were interested in measuring, the type of variable that you collected, was it quantitative or qualitative, was it discrete or continuous, and an explanation. How did you know it was quantitative discrete or quantitative continuous or qualitative? The description of the test, so that would again be your protocol. You can either include it in part A or part C, but I need your protocol. What were you doing? What were you measuring? How long did you wait before you administered the treatment and measured the post-test? I need your data. This can come from your Google Sheets. If you're doing this in a Google Doc, it makes it much easier just to cut, copy, paste into your Google Sheet. When you go into part 6, you're going to have to write the hypotheses. This comes from Chapter 1 homework as a reference. Again, you don't need to include the points or that it came from Chapter 1 homework. So you're going to state in words what you think the difference should be or will be from what you come up with, not your data. You're just thinking like what should happen. We're going to use the data to support what you think or not support in upcoming chapters. You do need to write your null and alternative hypothesis, and you will need to use these symbols. So if I go into Google Docs, and I want to find the symbols, the way I have it written here, D needs to be a subscript. Okay, and where did I find those symbols? If you go up to Insert, down to Symbols, down to Equation, under Equation, you have these items come up, and you want mu with a subscript of a D. So if I look here, I can see this is a subscript. So I want mu first. I'm going to go find the mu symbol, and then I want the letter D. So if I notice, I had to arrow over on my keyboard. If I arrow back, you can see my cursor pops up. I'm going to arrow down and type the letter D. So you can see that it is a subscript. Following along with that, and you go back and look at your directions. Once you have that, you need the direction of the test. Again, this all comes from Chapter 1 homework. The third section of the homework is for the sampling methods. This is what we did in Chapter 2 when we gathered our 40. We did a simple random sample. So you just describe kind of the method that you did and how you used randomization to get those 40 people. It should be, all of ours will be the same because that's the directions I gave you. The sample size, be sure to use symbols. Okay, there are symbols, just like you had to use mu up here, there's a symbol for sample size. Any types of bias that you might think might be happening. Was it an experiment or observation? I've been saying it's an experiment all along. Why are we calling it an experiment and not just an observation? The last part is to use Chapter 4, the graphical display. So you'll be going back in, putting your data into a Google Sheet or using the existing sheet, and you're going to give me appropriate graphical displays. A pie chart is not a correct display for your type of data. You will also be describing the distribution, which can be found in Chapter 4. Be sure you're using the appropriate graphical displays. If you would like to use a histogram, which I think we all should, there are directions within the course itself on how to do that histogram. Please reach out if you have any questions.